What's good, YouTube? It's Rick the Fox Kid here. It's been a while since my last video. I've been pretty busy, but I've been putting off this one for a while. It's a deck profile for Mermail, just because the one I posted before is pretty outdated. So I thought I would do this one, and it is very similar to the build that I used in that DN video, like the 3 videos of the match I did with some guy on Pojo. And it's very similar. It is a little different though, but effectively it's that and just some of the choices I made for the deck. And yeah, so let's get into it. 1 lead, 3 Megalo. A lot of people are dropping to 2 now. I personally still like 3 just because it's a target for Sphere, and it is a great card to open with because it gets Sphere to your hand. It's like I've always preferred 3 Megalo over 2, but that's just me. 3 Teus, huge core of the deck. 3 Gun, she's great for getting things back out of the graveyard. 3 Lind, 1 OTO, she sets up all your like Bahamut Shark and Trite and Engineer combos and all that stuff. 3 Pike, search for the deck. 3 Sturge, or 1 Sturge, my mistake. You can recycle things and just like recycle guns, recycle Atlanteans and stuff like that. That's the Mermail lineup. The Atlanteans are 1 Dragoons, 3 Heavy Infantry, and 2 Marksmen. The reason Marksman is only run in 2s normally now is because a lot of the back row of this format is chainable. So at his best, like he'll hit something that's actually not chainable. Normally he'll bait something out and force its activation, but in the worst case scenarios, you'll run into a continuous card like Vanity's Emptiness, Fiendish Chain, and just like stuff like that. So, and then at that point, Marksman can't destroy it, so it's kind of not as useful as you would think it would be. So that's why Marksman's only got to 2. And then other waters I have are 3 Aqua Spirit, just because she enables so many plays, just all the rank 4 plays into Bahamut Shark and all that. And she's not even bad on her own. Like if you're facing down like an Ophion or like a Crimson Blader, you can summon her and then let her sit there and then force your opponent, and then on your opponent's turn force it into defense, and it has to stay there, and it's kind of a bit more manageable. Not by a lot, for like Crimson Blader is not a lot more manageable, but it's still more manageable. Ophion becomes more manageable because 1900, 1950 is a lot easier to deal with than like say 2550. And then 3 Tidals, obvious. It's 30 monsters. 4 spells are 1 Dark Hole, 3 MST. The reason I still main 3 MST in Mermail is just because there's a lot of back row that can screw us up, and just MST helps us get rid of it. And MST and Marksman is a great way of picking apart your opponent's back row and just going for a big push. And then the traps I run are 6. There's 3 Abyss Sphere. And then here's the big difference that you don't see a lot of Mermail players do, and that's 3 Reckless Greed. And I ran this in the match that I had with the other guy, BMT Rocks, in that Mermail mirror we had. And honestly, it saved me a lot. Game 1, I honestly feel I would not have won without it. Game 3, I feel it helped benefit, although I was also sitting on 2 Max C, which fed me a lot. So Reckless Greed, I probably could have won without it, but it still helped me a lot. And then Game 2, I never saw it, and that was the only game I lost. This was an idea that my friend Chuze and I were thinking of, because thinking like Pat Hoban's logic, because he runs it in his Dragoon deck, is that if you get 2 Reckless, that's a lot of advantage that you can generate just by having all those cards in your hand, and even 1 can get you plays like 2 turns early. And it's just, Mermail is a deck that relies on a lot of hand advantage, and one of its problems is that its hand can run really, really low. And Reckless Greed gets rid of that problem because it gets you 2 cards, like it gets you 2 cards thinner in the deck, and gets you things 2 turns early. And it's like, even 1 Reckless can turn a Megalo and that's sitting in my hand dead into like a live Megalo. And it just facilitates so many plays. And it's like people can make it so if you don't use more than one Reckless Greed, then it's a -1 because you're skipping 2 draw phases, and then you also just wasted a card. We'll see. Reckless Greed, you set it and you don't instantly activate it. You leave it there until either A, you get the second Reckless Greed, or B, your opponent hits MST with it. At that point, it becomes a +0 because your opponent just wasted an MST on it. Although, really, your opponent shouldn't be blind MSTing against Mermail. But it's just that logic. You leave it and you sit there, and it will be safe if your opponent's smart. And then you just let it go off. And it's just the advantage it gives you is really important. Where I'm willing to skip the draw phases to get the extra draw power, if it lets me facilitate my plays faster. You also notice I don't run Effect Veiler or Max C. This is because, well, Effect Veiler, both in general, I feel, have a lot of matchups where they just aren't good. Like, Veiler doesn't do shit against dragons, doesn't really do shit against Black Wings, or it stops the Atom in Hieratics, but that's about it. Dragoonity, I guess it stops ducks. I guess it can do things, but it's like, it doesn't do anything against dragons, doesn't do anything against Evil Swarm, doesn't do anything against Hieratic, Blackwing, and then Max C kind of doesn't really do much against Prophecy, Blackwing, or anything like that. And then also Billy Break, when he said why he didn't run Max C in his Blue Eyes Dragon Ruler build, he stated the reasons that if you think of the top decks, you think of Prophecy, Dragon Ruler, and Dragoonity. Not in that order, because obviously Dragon Ruler's first. But you think of those three as the top decks. All of them are either not hurt by Max C, or they can push to a point where Max C doesn't matter anymore. In Dragon Ruler's case, it can feed the Max C a little bit and then just stop there and still have a solid play. Or, like in Dragoonity's case, it can push to the point where Max C doesn't matter. They can push for game anyway. And a lot of the decks, the only other hand trap they run is either Veiler or, in Dragon's case, Scarecrow. So it's just like all that extra things that you get off of Max C don't matter. And it's like, so in that case, it's like, are they really worth maining? And it's another thing, Max C and Veiler don't really help the combos in Mermail. And it's like, and Mermail's like kind of combo-y deck, so it kind of needs those combos to go off, which is why I prefer Reckless, because it's helpful in any situation. Like Max C, I'd side it in during matches where Max C could actually help me draw into my combos. So yeah. I'll obviously side them, but I don't think they need to be made. And extra deck. I have 1 Gaius, 1 Dragossack, 1 Big Eye, 1 Dweller, 1 Bahamut Shark, 1 Diamond Direwolf, 1 Gaga Cowboy, 1 Laval Chain gets your Tidals faster, 1 Levier. It can do some derpy plays with like Dragoons and banish it with Aqua Spirit and make like Levier with like Osea and Land or whatever. It's got some power plays, which is why I keep it. 1 mech with Engineer, 2 Abyss Trite, because with Engineer you're going to protect Shark, which means more often than not you're going to get 2 Trites out, and that's just a lot of things your opponent has to get run over. 1 Zen Mains, just because if you open, because like the main play is Teus, a water monster, and Aqua Spirit, but if you open with just Teus, you can still make a Zen Mains play, because you make Teus, you summon Osea, you target Teus, you summon a Land and Gun, and you use the Osea and Gun to make Zen Mains, and you sit on the land, and then your opponent still has to deal with that. And then the only synchros I run are 2 Crimson Bladers, just because against Dragon Rulers you side in Veilers, and then that stops their Crimson Bladers from hitting you, and stops their Dragons with Big Eye, and then it also lets you make Crimson Blader to hit them and give them a problem. Another idea that I thought of, which is hilarious, is like if I were to side DNA Surgery to deal with like Prophecy, Black Wings, Hieratic, all that, I could also, because of all the rank 4s I can make, I could also run a Volzarlagia, because I could play DNA Surgery, like call Dinosaur, and then all of my monsters are dinosaurs, which means I can make Volzarlagia. So I think that would be pretty hilarious. And that's just me. But it's not a big concern, because, yeah. I don't really have a side deck build for this, because this is not my competitive deck, this format. My competitive deck is Dragon Ruler, obviously. If I were to, it's just, part of the reason for that is that Mermail is really good, but it's got some horrid matchups. Like, the matchup with Prophecy is pretty hard, and the matchup with Dragon Ruler is really hard from what I've experienced. So it's like, I feel like the Dragoonity matchup would be really hard as well, just because they can do everything. Prophecy can halt what Mermail is doing, and then Dragon Ruler and Dragoonity can both do what it does faster. So That's really what holds Mermail back right now. If I were to use a side deck for this, I would just do the basic, like, debunks, 3 Iron Wall, 3 Goes in Match, and just, like, Valor and Maxi and all that. It's pretty simple to do. But yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to get this video done, finally, and hopefully I'll have more in the future. I am almost done with my Dragon Ruler build for an update. I just need to get a few more cards for it, and then I also have Blackwing built, and then I'm also working on TG Stun, because I finally got all the things I needed for that, so those will hopefully be up in the future soon. And yeah, so thanks for watching YouTube, I'll see you next time. Deuces.